Howdy folks, GameSmith here. I just thought I would show you all an update on my 100 Days of Code project I've been working on. So today is officially day 50 for me, and so I thought I'd just give you guys a quick tour of what I've been breaking, and then talk about what I plan on doing for the last half of this project. So we started this project, like I said, 50 days ago. It was a kind of a group project of a lot of faculty, staff, students, alumni. The whole campus at Missouri State University West Plains kind of kicked off doing this as a group within the tech department. So I do my hat in the ring, and I've been going through and posting roughly daily updates. Sometimes I fall a little behind, and there may be 3 or 4 updates that I post, on the weekend or on Monday or something like that. But I thought I'd show what I've been working on. So this here is a prototype of an airship game idea that I've been tinkering around with for a few years, just doing some thought experiments, a few pieces of level design, playing games that have inspired me. So things like Sea of Thieves, other type of control-based games where you can hop onto a station and actually manipulate the ship. So what I've got right now is there are several control stations around the airship. So if we start here at the back, I've got an engine and a rudder that'll kick on here in a bit when we give it some power and pull the lever. I've got a furnace, so we'll go ahead and activate this and turn it on. So I've got just a simple light with a flicker effect to show the flames. We've got a smokestack that'll put out a simple particle effect. We can go over here to the pull cord, which is the one that I added yesterday. So if I hop on this and pull it, I can actually increase the altitude of the airship. This increases the lift that's being provided to the rigid body to pull us up higher. So we can gain a little bit of altitude. Hop off of that. Since we have the furnace engaged, I can actually hop on the engine lever and activate it. And then if we go look, the engine will actually spin up. And once it gets going, we'll start picking up speed and see we're moving. We've got a vent lever. So what this will let me do if I hop on this is I can actually open it up to different settings. And this will begin to bleed off our buoyancy out of the balloon or simulate the loss of buoyancy. So as we open it up further and further, we'll start to lose altitude until we put it back up to where we started. I can hop on the wheel, which needs a lot of work to actually look decent. This was just a quick and dirty cylinder I extruded in Blender so that I could get around some rotation issues in Unity. You can see just over the wheel there is a working compass that will always point us to north in the game world. If we keep looking around, here, actually let me hop on the wheel here. If we turn it over, we have to be a little careful because we can slide around because the player controller is also a rigid body. So we can actually slide off the airship if we're not careful. But the rudder will actually turn opposite of the wheel. So if I hop on the wheel so it locks me into the station and I turn the wheel hard over, you can see the rudder actually adjust as I adjust the wheel. I'm trying to think what else I've done on this. A lot of the early days of this was spent getting the compass and the rotations worked out. Forgot how much I hated quaternions. I'm trying to get all of my angles figured out so that my compass could be rotated at a 45-degree angle and still have the rotation happen appropriately. Spent a decent amount of time building the custom rigid body controller for my character. Still need to add run. I can't sprint just yet. I can walk and I can jump. Like I said, I've got the engine and some of the systems working. So what I would like to do for my last 50 days is I'd like to fix a few small bugs here and there. I'd like to make it so that certain things rely on more of the ship being powered. So like right now, if we just turn the furnace off, we'll notice the engine will actually spool down and stop because it's not getting the power from the ship. But if I come up here and hop on the wheel, right now the wheel does not care about forward motion on whether it can turn or not. So I need to play around with center of mass and where the rotation happens. So that's another future improvement. Another thing I would like to do, since the goal of this was to make a steampunk airship kind of prototype, is I would actually like to add a boiler to the furnace. That way I can have some kind of simple piston or pull rod or something like that to animate so that the engine actually looks like it's has something spinning it, maybe some gearing mechanisms and a flywheel or something like that. But I would like to move into a little bit of resource management. So maybe I have to make the airship a little bigger. I don't have a ton of room, but maybe go in and add a boiler to the side, so you have to manage putting water in it, which will be kind of hard to find in a desert environment. But also maybe have like a little fuel bunker where you can put coal. So, just as some basic play testing, maybe hide some resources out on top of some of these little rocky bluffs and pieces that I have in the desert. My little sample area is only 1 kilometer square, and there's nothing procedural or fancy about it. I just do some basic Unity primitives to white box it and decide to make them look kind of a nice pink color to fit the desert theme. But it does serve the purpose of making it so that I can tell where I'm moving in the environment, because I can see my speeds bringing me closer to the towers. And now that all the basic controls are in there, we can actually try landing on one. So here, let's see if we can pull off a landing up here. But so overall, like I said, the 100 Days of Code has been a fun event. I highly recommend it to anybody that's not tried it. You don't have to wait and do it as part of a big group thing like I did. The people started every day. And so, if you're wanting to learn how to code, and it doesn't have to be game development, that's a choice that I picked just because of the department I teach in. But, if you want to learn full stack web development, you want to learn just do some basic data manipulation with Python or anything like that, highly recommend you look at 100 Days of Code. It's super simple. You do at least an hour a day of programming, and then once you've done your work for the day, you just hop on social media, Twitter, Parler, whatever you prefer, and you just post 100 Days of Code and what day you're on and what you did. So let's see if we can get up here and actually land on this. We might run into it. I don't know if I'm gonna. Oh, I think we just cleared it. So let's stop our forward motion before I slide off the airship. And then we may have caught it with, oh, nope, I just had the wheel turned over. So let's see if we can actually set her down, and I'll show you what the airship looks like from the outside. There we go. Not quite a perfect landing, but I think I at least kept from knocking the propeller off, which it actually doesn't take damage yet. So yeah, that would have sheared off if I had that modeled out. And speaking of modeling, I know this looks very rough. Almost all of this is Unity primitives, with the exception of a few models that I had to make in Blender to get over issues of rotating nested Unity primitives. But once 100 Days of Code is done, which I think for me ends, I think it's December 12th, somewhere in there. I think it's when the MSU West Plains time was supposed to end up. I will probably go back over Christmas break or something like that when the semester's over and I'm not teaching anymore, and go back and just spend a lot of time in Blender to make this thing look pretty and actually have some nice models to put on it. Right now, like I said, I've been spending what little bit of free time I have to work on it to just get as much functionality in, and then I'll go back and make it look a little nicer. I don't think I'm going to go for too much of a like photorealism. I kind of like the idea of maybe going back to like a N64 kind of style, not necessarily tune shaded, but more of that kind of Ocarina of Time, GoldenEye, where it was more diffuse colors, but maybe mixing in some modern technologies like normal maps and ambient occlusion, so I can get a little more extra detail, but still have that kind of bright, diffuse texture palette on a fairly low poly models. I don't know. Like I said, I haven't put a whole lot of thought into the art side of it yet. I just want to see how much I can get done. But thank you for checking this out. Like I said, I will have it. I'll keep posting stuff on Twitter and Parler. I'll have my social media links here at the end of the video in just a sec, and you guys can follow me if you want to keep up with it. And if you have any questions, just post in the comments below. I'll be glad to answer any questions, talk about my experience. Yeah, I did forget, sorry, one of the roughest things I ran into is my player controller, which is just a little capsule guy right now, is a rigid body, and the airship is a rigid body. And so you don't want to make a parent-child relationship between two rigid bodies in Unity. That does not play well with the physics system. And I had a very hard time getting hinges or joints to do what I wanted to do. So I spent a lot of my early days, I think about 10 or 12 of them, fighting with how to get a rigid body to dynamically send its mass to the object or to a vehicle rigid body that was riding on. That way the airship could actually recalculate its neutral buoyancy value whenever the player hops on or off. Otherwise, as a player, you would hop on the airship and it would add your mass and it would sink because it was no longer the correct weight to be neutrally buoyant, or you could jump off of it and your airship would just shoot up in the sky and you'd lose it. I still don't have a way to get back to it if you lose it, so I probably should put in something towards the end for maybe like dropping a rope out so you can climb up and down a rope, or I even thought about taking some inspiration from like Legend of Zelda and having maybe like a hook shot or something, so if you fall off your airship, you can shoot up to it and grab it. But that'll have to be a later issue to add, or a later not issue but feature. All right, well, thank you guys for watching. Like I said, I'll have my contact stuff here in a sec, and just let me know if you have any questions. Everybody have a good one.